And now we are joined by flyweight Victor Altamirano, who fights Carlos Candelario on the Dana White Contender Series this Tuesday night. Victor, before we get into your upcoming fight, you just arrived in Vegas. Tell me, how is it? Is this your first time fighting in Vegas?
It is my first time fighting in Vegas. It's really cool. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we are quarantined here at the hotel, so we can't really roam around and experience. I was here a few weeks ago for the production side of things, but same thing. I was quarantined, so I don't know if I can say that I've been to Vegas yet. Officially, I guess I have, but I haven't experienced Vegas yet. But I am really excited to be here and, do what I'm about to do.
And how have the UFC treated you so far? I did see that you got picked up by someone who's holding up a UFC sign. Is there any kind of different experience to what you're used to with fighting in places?
The experience is really wonderful. Everybody treats me nice. Everybody here is professional. And for the first time in my life, I'm realizing that a big portion of the world loves the same thing I do, the sport, the martial arts, the passion for what I've been dedicated most of my life for. I'm realizing, dang, there's an entire business and organization dedicated for the people who love it, and I'm part of it. And I can see that. I can see that passion. I can see that love that people have for the sport and the way that every fighter here is being treated. We have our own room in which we can cut weight, work out. Aside from the room in which we're staying in, they have a shuttle because of COVID that takes us to Whole Foods. And then we also have, availability to get Uber Eats and whatever food we have to. So, the fact that they're going out of their way to make sure that the fighters are well fed, comfortable, and have all the amenities that they need to perform well lets me know how important this is, not just for me, but for everybody in the organization, whether they're fighting or not.
So obviously this isn't quite UFC, but it's kind of a taste of what's to come possibly, and even more really because, you're just only fighting on Dana White's Contender Series. It's not like you're doing all the media and all the things that come with being a UFC fighter. So is it kind of nice to have that kind of taste to kind of give you that extra motivation to kind of win on Tuesday night?
I don't really seek out motivation outside of myself, outside of, the hard work that I put. But I will say that it is very welcoming. It's really heartwarming to see everything that I just mentioned. Oh, just the way that people are being treated, all the fighters. I went from fighting in a hotel room. They rent out a hotel room and I would fight there to, going to the LFA, and then weight cuts are easy and fast, to now being in the UFC Contender Series, and just everybody just behaves so professional. Everything's nice and smooth. So it is very inspiring to say, what, this is the level that I've reached. So I'm happy for it, and I definitely want to stay here.
And before we get into your fight, let's just go back to February. You won the LFA Flyweight title. Now, how rewarding was that for you in terms of winning that? Because you had worked so hard to get there. You were undefeated in LFA. You'd built up an accumulation of wins to get to that point to fight for the title, and then you won it in such a dominant way. You made a statement to get on the Dana White Contender Series. How did it feel to finally get that title and that kind of your first taste of real success?
It felt really great. It felt amazing. I mean, I think everybody has an idea of an epitome or the peak of their career. Not to say that is the peak of my career, but that is the greatest accomplishment so far that I've had. And looking back and realizing the years that it took for that to happen, it just puts me into perspective. The people who have made it to the UFC, the people who have held a belt at the UFC, they went through a lot. I now know all the years that go through this. So just knowing that I was not only able to participate in the LFA, but just making it to the LFA. Most people don't realize that, you go to the gym, it's your first day, and your first goal is to be a professional fighter. And you're at the gym your first day, and you may have a year or two before you're even ready for your first fight. And then you're not even taking in consideration how many years into you're even given the opportunity for any title fight in any organization, really. And just to have achieved that, I don't look back very often, but whenever I achieved the LFA Flyweight belt, I was able to relax and look back and think, wow, that's been a long road. It's been a long road, and there's still so much more left. I do feel very great about it. I feel really happy for it and excited for what else is to come.
And your opponent that night, Nate Smith, a former Dana White Contender Series fighter, he also fought against Jimmy Fleck, who was a former LFA Flyweight title. So, it's a very good opponent to kind of prepare you for this fight, because it's a taste of the kind of competition that you'd be up against. Do you find that he was kind of the perfect opponent to have in the title fight to prepare you for this fight?
Most definitely. Nate Smith is a very high-level wrestler, a very high-level fighter. And, he wouldn't have been in the Contender Series had he not, had a really impressive repertoire, impressive resume. And he does, and he did. And he showed up within a week, really. He showed up short notice, and he was able to put the performance that he did. And, it was amazing. I was really honored to have shared the octagon with him. And I know he's doing great. He's fighting in Fury next week. Shout out Nate Smith. Good luck there. And, I hope to see him again here on the big stage. He's really good.
And in terms of getting on the Dana White's Contender Series, is this how you viewed your path into the UFC? Or were you kind of expecting to having to defend the title for maybe once or twice more before getting, the contract straight into the UFC rather than having to go through the Contender Series?
At this point in my career, I've been doing it for so long that it's gotten to the point where I need the financial stability to be my main goal, my main objective. I am 30 years old and I'm starting a family. And as much as I would like to defend the LFA belt, as long as I would like to not care when, where, or who I fight for, I have to. I have to, for the sake of me, for the sake of my family. And financially speaking, my goal is to keep moving forward. So although I would love to defend the LFA belt, I need to move forward. I need to be more stable in my career. I need to be more established in what is it that I'm doing, so that I can give back to the family that's been supporting me through this journey. And the best way to do that is to be in the UFC as soon as possible, have that contract, and start making moves.
And you talk about providing for your family by getting into the UFC. Do you look at someone like Brandon Moreno as kind of inspiration for you, being Mexican, being a flyweight fighter as well? He won the flyweight title after a journey, that is quite unique. Do you see that as kind of inspiration for you to kind of you were able to do the same as well, and get into the UFC and come back from loss, because you've done that as well in your career?
Yes. So yeah, I'm really happy for Brandon Moreno. He is definitely an inspiration for a lot of people, and not just him, but really anybody who's made it to the UFC and acquired a UFC belt. You could look at any fighter who's done that, and none of them will tell you that it was an easy road. None of them will tell you that it was a road that anyone can just do. It is a road that anyone can just do, but it's not a road that anyone is willing to do. And that is the big difference that I have to realize, that if I want to continue that, I have to be willing to do what it takes.
And if you got into the UFC, is the flyweight title in such a competitive division kind of that next goal for you? Or is it just kind of taking one fight at a time? Are you kind of highly ambitious and, you're going straight for that UFC title, you're going to work towards that?
My goal, of course, yes, it's a UFC title. My goal is, of course, to get the flyweight title. I want to make it to the top. I want to make it to the best of the best. I'll fight whoever I need to fight to get to whoever may be holding the belt at the time. It may be a Brandon. It may not be. I don't know. But my goal is not necessarily to fight Brandon Moreno. My goal is to get the UFC belt. And if it is Brandon Moreno, that means that he's been dominating. He would be dominating the division, which I would be very proud as a Mexican-born to note that Brandon Moreno would have been defending that title for that long, whatever it may take. But, if they were to give me that fight next week, I will take it. I feel like I'm ready. I do want that belt. And there's nothing that will make me hesitate in taking that opportunity at any given time.
And obviously that UFC Flyweight division, it's kind of one of the most underrated divisions in MMA, basically. You know, a year or two ago, people would kind of pushing it to the side, not very entertaining. And now it's providing entertaining fight after entertaining fight. How do you view the UFC Flyweight division? It's something that kind of, it's exciting for you, kind of the prospect of potentially fighting against the people you're seeing on TV.
It's really cool to see that, you know, every time there's a flyweight in the card, I pay attention to it. I want to make sure that I know the competition, who's there, who's in the UFC, and what do they look like when they fight? What is the intensity that they bring? What is the level of striking and grappling that they bring? You know, I look at their corners. How are they doing it? How are they handling it? What are they focusing on? How is the regimen? How is the camp? I paid attention to all these little details in the opponents in my division, because if I'm going to be there, I need to be doing that and more, you know, because I don't just want to be in the flyweight division for the UFC. I want to dominate the flyweight division for the UFC. And if that is my goal, the first thing I need to do is realize, okay, well, what is it that they're doing so that I can do it better?
And who's in front of you is Carlos Candelario. And what do you make of him as an opponent? Undefeated. Obviously, he's taken it kind of on short notice, but he's previously fought on Dana White Contender Series. He has that experience over you in a way. What do you make of him as an opponent? Obviously, a very tough test.
Oh, it's really cool. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because he is a high caliber fighter. I'm excited about it because he's a good technical striker. And it's been a while since I've, you know, faced against a technical striker myself. My last few opponents were really good high-level grapplers. And I know that Carlos likes to trade. And not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people have with me. And I'm looking forward for this fight because I know he ain't scared to do that.
And you go into the fight as a favorite. How do you feel about that? Does that give you a little bit more confidence, or it doesn't really matter to you?
It doesn't really matter to me. I'm pretty indifferent because at the end of the day, it is me who has to enjoy whatever is going on.
And what do you think is required for the contract? Do you feel like a good performance isn't good enough and you need a finish? It is kind of what is required to get that contract into UFC on the Contender Series.
Perhaps a finish, but more so than that, I would say a show. I would say people want to see a show. You know, there's been people who won and didn't get it. There's been people who've lost and got it. I think that what makes the difference is the show, the level of skill that is displayed, and how exciting the fight is overall. You know, what is the repertoire that you're exposing to the world? This is a chance for any fighter really to say, look, this is my resume, and here it is. And the resume is not a piece of paper with accolades on it. The resume is your body performing at its best.
Is it a scary prospect going into a fight like this where, you know, you're fighting kind of for your dream? You know, if you lose, then you might not get the opportunity again. Is it scary, the possibility of losing at all?
No, it's scary to not have the opportunity ever. You know, and I think that goes to anything that anybody does, regardless, any field, whatever. You are a journalist, right? You have a dream, you have a goal, you have the thing you want to do. Imagine if you didn't even have that chance. That's what's scary. And luckily, unfortunately for me, no one's taken that away from me. So no matter what, I'm really happy and I'm really enjoying this moment because no one can take this from me as far as the experience and the fact that I get to do what I want. And the fact that whether I fail or win, I get to do it again because that's my choice to do. And yeah, there's a little bit of pressure like anything else, but if there wasn't, then it would mean that I'm not taking it seriously. If there was no pressure, then it would mean that it's not important to me. And, you know, it is a little scary, but I'd rather have the fear of potential failure than the fear of having no opportunity whatsoever.
So is the goal for you kind of putting on a show rather than just going straight for the finish? Is that what your goal is with this fight?
Yeah, and putting on a show may entail going for the finish. You know, every second really in the fight is new. It's really difficult to plan everything. You can have the perfect plan for your opponent, and then may come up with something else, and then now you have to adapt and move and just go and with the flow. You have to change things. So I don't really go into the fight with a perfect plan. I go into the fight with the perfect plan to enjoy myself. I don't really have like a specific technique that I need to do or whatever. I just need to make sure that I'm doing what I need to be doing in that moment, in that second, that is susceptible to change in any given time.
I did see a YouTube video of you playing the cello, and I believe you spent your bonus or your money you had gained from an LFA win on a new cello.
Yes.
How does kind of passion come about, and what other passions do you have outside of fighting?
So my passion for the cello came whenever I was bored one day and I was cleaning my mother-in-law's house, and she had a cello, and I've always wanted to play an instrument, but I had never even tried to. I was always really bad at it. So I'm like, let me try it. And so I liked it. I learned to play it a little bit. I have a teacher. He's really cool. And I realized that to play music, you have to have this certain level of focus. And to make music sound good, you have to have a certain level of enjoyment that no one can do or replicate in your behalf. You have to do that. And then I realized that this translates to really anything you do. You can be a good whatever, but if you don't enjoy it, it'll eventually be manifested and like, oh, okay, he's good, but for some reason it's just not the thing, And when I fight, I'm able to more easily find that place, the place where focus and enjoyment exist simultaneously. It's very difficult to do. I mean, do you have a favorite song, Dion?
Yeah. I can't
you
think
do?
of the spot, yeah.
Do you know it? Do you know all the lyrics to it?
Yeah, when the song's playing, yeah.
So what does it feel like to you when it comes on and you hit every lyric?
Sense of kind of excitement, isn't it? Like gets you going.
Yeah, but you got to be focused to make sure you hit every lyric.
Exactly.
Right? But
I never do it.
you never do it?
As in, on point, just averagely.
Oh, well, just work on it because it feels amazing. Once you reach the level of focus and enjoyment, you're free. And that is what music has taught me to chase when I fight.
So if you do get, the UFC contract, is there a potential that there's a new cello around the corner if you want to spend kind of your earnings on that?
Oh, no, my cello is beautiful. I love the one I have. The reason why I got a new one was because the other one that I had was a kid's cello. It was made for a smaller kid. So the one I have now is actually a full body cello. So that's why I got that one. That's why I needed to get that one. Had the other one been full size, I would have just kept it with that one. But I needed a one for me. And I couldn't play a kid's cello anymore. But no, my money, my earnings, I'm going to do the best I can to just, give back to the people who've been giving me a lot, so much, my gym, my family, whatever it is that I can do to grow as a person and help others grow as well.
Well, thank you very much for your time and all the best on Tuesday night.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you for this platform.